Deep in the countryside lay a place of wonder and mystery, known as the Whispering Woods. The trees stood tall, their leaves whispering secrets in the breeze. Sunbeams danced on the mossy forest floor, the air hummed with unseen insects. The Whispering Woods held an allure for the adventurous. Stories of mischievous fairies and talking animals were commonplace. One sunny afternoon, two boys stood at the edge of the woods, ready to brave its mysteries. They craved the adventure that awaited within. The boys exchanged a nervous glance and stepped into the unknown. The whispers of the trees followed them, urging them deeper into the heart of the woods.
Tom Sawyer was a dreamer with a head full of stories and a thirst for adventure. He was small for his age, but made up for it with his quick wit and boundless energy.
Huckleberry Finn, on the other hand, was a child of the river, independent and resourceful. Huck was taller than Tom, with a shock of unkempt hair and a mischievous twinkle in his eyes.
Despite their differences, Tom and Huck shared an unbreakable bond. They were the best of friends, partners in crime, and confidants in a world that often misunderstood them. Their adventures had become legendary in their small town. Today, a new adventure awaited them. Armed with nothing but their imaginations and a shared sense of daring, the boys were ready to face whatever the Whispering Woods had in store for them. They knew that together they could overcome any obstacle and uncover the secrets hidden within the heart of the woods. It all started with a rumor about a lost treasure hidden deep within the Whispering Woods. The story went that a notorious bandit, One-Eyed Jack, had stashed his loot there centuries ago. He vanished without a trace, leaving his treasure for anyone brave enough to find it.
Tom and Huck stumbled upon an old, weathered piece of parchment in Tom's aunt's attic. It was a map, drawn in faded ink, depicting the Whispering Woods with remarkable detail. An X marked a spot deep within the forest, setting their hearts racing with anticipation.
Could this be the map to One-Eyed Jack's lost treasure? The boys believed it was their destiny to find out. The lure of adventure and the promise of untold riches were too strong to resist. They would brave the unknown and set off in search of the hidden treasure.
The map led Tom and Huck deeper into the Whispering Woods. The sunlight faded as the trees grew denser. The boys stuck close to each other, alert to every sound and movement. After what felt like hours, they arrived at a clearing, bathed in an ethereal glow. In the center stood an enormous willow tree, its branches drooping like the arms of a weary giant.
"This has to be the place," whispered Tom, pointing to the base of the tree where the roots formed a natural archway. The map said to look for the weeping giant with a heart of gold.
Huck felt a shiver run down his spine. "Are you sure about this, Tom?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe we should just turn back."
"Come on, Huck, don't be such a scaredy cat."
Huck hesitated, then followed his friend under the low-hanging branches. They found themselves in a small circular chamber. In the center, a faint, shimmering figure began to take shape within the hollow of the willow tree.
"Whoa, what is that?"
A voice echoed through the chamber, ancient and filled with power.
"We seek the treasure of One-Eyed Jack. The map led us here."
The shimmering figure chuckled, the sound like dry leaves rustling in the wind. The air crackled with anticipation. Tom and Huck held their breath, their eyes fixed on the shimmering figure. This was it, the moment that would determine whether they would find the treasure or be forced to turn back.
"I have cities but no houses, I have mountains but no rocks, I have water but no fish. What am I?"
Tom and Huck looked at each other, their brows furrowed in concentration. The riddle was tricky, designed to test their minds.
"Think, Tom, think. What has cities and mountains and water, but not the things you'd usually find there?"
Tom closed his eyes, trying to picture the words of the riddle in his mind. A slow grin spread across his face as he realized the answer.
"A map. The answer is a map."
The shimmering figure let out a low hum that seemed to shake the very foundations of the willow tree.
"Did we get it right?"
"What are we waiting for?"
Huck exclaimed, his initial fear replaced by a surge of excitement. He grabbed a nearby branch and used it as a lever, helping to push the heavy stone fully out of the way.
"Let's go find that treasure."
Tom grinned, his heart pounding with anticipation. Together they would brave the unknown and claim the treasure that awaited them. The passageway behind the moss-covered stone led Tom and Huck into a subterranean labyrinth. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and something ancient and musty. The boys shivered, pulling their jackets tighter round themselves as they ventured deeper into the unknown. The tunnel twisted and turned, the flickering light from their single lantern casting eerie shadows.
Are you sure this is the right way, Tom? It feels like we've been walking for hours.
The map says we need to follow the path of the serpent, but I don't see any serpents, do you?
As they continued their descent, the boys noticed that the walls of the labyrinth were no longer smooth. Intricate carvings, barely visible in the flickering light, covered every surface. Faces, grotesque and distorted, stared back at them, their expressions frozen in silent screams.
This place is giving me the creeps. Do you think those carvings are watching us?
It's just old stone, Huck. Don't let your imagination run wild.
But as they walked, Tom could have sworn he heard whispers coming from the walls themselves. The tunnel opened into a vast cavern, the ceiling disappearing into the darkness above. A cold wind whistled through the chamber, carrying the scent of damp earth and something metallic and sharp. In the center of the cavern, suspended over a seemingly bottomless chasm, stretched a rickety rope bridge. The bridge swayed precariously in the wind, its ropes frayed and worn, its wooden planks rotten and treacherous.
Oh no, this can't be the only way across.
Tom's stomach lurched as he looked at the bridge. It looked as if it could collapse at any moment, sending them plummeting into the darkness below.
It's the Bridge of Illusion. We have to be careful. One wrong step and it's all over. Taking a deep breath, Tom stepped onto the bridge, testing its strength with his foot.
The ropes creaked ominously and the bridge swayed beneath his weight. Huck followed close behind, his hands gripping the frayed ropes so tightly his knuckles turned white. As they inched their way across the chasm, the bridge seemed to shimmer and distort around them. Strange shapes and shadows danced in their peripheral vision, whispering promises and threats. But Tom kept his eyes fixed on the other side, refusing to give in to the illusions. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they stumbled off the bridge and onto solid ground. Ahead of them, bathed in warm sunlight, lay a hidden grove.
Tom and Huck stood mesmerized, mouths agape at the breathtaking beauty of the hidden grove.
The air buzzed with a strange energy, a palpable sense of magic that sent shivers down their spines. As they ventured deeper into the grove, a sense of peace washed over them. The sunlight filtering through the leaves, the gentle murmur of the stream, the sweet scent of wildflowers. It was as if all the worries and fears of the outside world simply melted away. Suddenly, a twig snapped under Tom's foot, the sharp sound echoing through the stillness. The boys froze, their eyes darting around, searching for the source of the disturbance.
From the shadows of the trees, a majestic stag emerged, its antlers like gnarled branches, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light.
The stag was unlike any creature Tom and Huck had ever seen before. The stag took a step towards them, its hooves barely making a sound on the soft earth. Tom and Huck exchanged a nervous glance, their hearts pounding in their chests.
"Welcome, travelers," the stag spoke, its voice deep and resonant, echoing through the grove like the whisper of the wind. "You have come seeking the treasure of One-Eyed Jack, but true riches are not always found in gold and jewels."
Tom swallowed hard, mustering up his courage. "We've faced many trials to get here," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "We solved the riddle of the Willow Tree and crossed the Bridge of Illusion. We just want to finish our quest."
The stag's eyes seemed to pierce through them, reading their thoughts and intentions.
"The final test is not one of strength or cunning," it said, its voice softer now. "It is a test of character."
The stag lowered its head, its antlers brushing against a nearby tree, causing a shower of shimmering fruit to fall to the ground. Tom and Huck stared at the fallen fruit, their eyes wide with wonder. Each fruit shimmered with an inner light, pulsing faintly as if breathing. The temptation to snatch one up and make a wish was almost unbearable. They had come so far, faced so many dangers, and now untold riches were within their grasp.
Huck reached for a fruit, his fingers trembling with anticipation. All he could think about was returning home a hero, his pockets overflowing with gold. But as his fingers brushed against the smooth skin of the fruit, a strange feeling washed over him. He thought of his friends, of the adventures they had shared, of the laughter and the camaraderie. He realized that true friendship, the kind he shared with Tom, was more valuable than any treasure.
He looked at Tom, who was staring at the fruit with a conflicted expression on his face.
I don't want to wish for gold anymore, Huck stammered, surprising even himself. I just want to go home, back to the way things were.
Tom looked up at Huck, a slow smile spreading across his face.
Me too, Huck, he said, relief washing over him. I realized that the real treasure wasn't hidden at the end of this journey. It was the journey itself, and the friend I shared it with.
He picked up a fruit and took a bite. It tasted sweeter than anything he had ever tasted before, like the promise of 1,000 adventures yet to come. The stag watched them with knowing eyes, a gentle smile gracing its lips.
You have chosen wisely, it said, its voice filled with approval. True wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the bonds of friendship and the experiences that shape us.
As the last rays of the setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, Tom and Huck found themselves standing at the edge of the Whispering Woods. They had faced their fears, overcome countless obstacles, and emerged from the heart of the forest forever changed. They carried no gold, no jewels, no tangible proof of their adventure, but they carried something far more valuable, the memory of their journey, the strength of their friendship, and the wisdom they had gained along the way. As they walked away from the woods, the whispers of the trees seemed to follow them, no longer menacing but filled with a newfound respect. They had faced the unknown and emerged victorious, not by conquering the forest, but by conquering themselves. The sun dipped below the horizon as Tom and Huck made their way back towards town. Their clothes were torn, their faces smudged with dirt, but their steps were light, their hearts full. The Whispering Woods had tested them, challenged them, and ultimately rewarded them in ways they had never imagined.
You know, Tom said, breaking the comfortable silence, One-Eyed Jack's treasure wasn't gold after all, was it?
He grinned at Huck, who chuckled in response, swatting at a pesky mosquito buzzing around his head.
Nope, Huck agreed, shaking his head. Turns out the real treasure was a lot more valuable.
They had entered the woods seeking adventure, lured by the promise of riches. They had braved perilous paths, solved riddles, and faced magical creatures, all in pursuit of a treasure they thought would bring them happiness. Yet it was in the heart of the woods, surrounded by ancient magic, that they discovered the true meaning of wealth. The Whispering Woods had taught them that true treasure wasn't something you could hold in your hand or spend in a store. It wasn't about material possessions or fleeting fame, it was about the journey, the lessons learned, the friendships forged in the face of adversity. As they walked, Tom and Huck recounted their favorite moments of the adventure, their laughter echoing through the twilight. They laughed about the riddle of the Willow Tree and the way Huck's face had turned white as a sheet when they crossed the Bridge of Illusion. They laughed until their sides ached, each shared memory a testament to the bond they shared. Through it all, through every challenge and every triumph, their friendship had been their compass and their anchor. They had relied on each other's strengths, supported each other's weaknesses, and faced their fears together. They had learned that with a true friend by your side, even the most daunting obstacle could be overcome. The Whispering Woods had tested their friendship, pushing them to their limits. But instead of breaking them, it had only strengthened their bond. They had learned that true friendship wasn't about always agreeing or never arguing. It was about being there for each other, no matter what, through thick and thin, adventure or no adventure. They had discovered that the greatest treasure they possessed wasn't hidden in the woods, but within their own hearts. The unwavering loyalty and love they had for each other. Reaching the outskirts of town, they paused, their eyes drawn to the silhouette of the Whispering Woods in the distance. The last rays of the sun painted the sky in a kaleidoscope of colors, casting long shadows that seemed to beckon them back.
Think we'll ever go back? Huck asked, a hint of longing in his voice.
Tom smiled, his eyes twinkling with mischief.
The Whispering Woods will always be there, Huck, he said, slinging an arm around his friend's shoulders. But that doesn't mean our adventures have to end.
They had faced the unknown and emerged victorious, forever changed by their experience. They had learned that life itself was an adventure, full of unexpected twists and turns, challenges and triumphs, and they knew that as long as they had each other, they could face whatever came their way. Taking one last look at the woods, they turned and walked toward town, the silhouette of the whispering woods fading into the twilight behind them, a silent reminder of the magic they had found and the adventures that still awaited.